RuneLite is an old school RuneScape client that adds an unbelievable amount of quality of life to your RuneScape experience. If you don't use it, you should. It can be downloaded through the Jagex launcher or at runelite.net. Today, I'm going to show you the plugins that I can't play without, ones that you may have never heard of, and ones that I think you're going to like. Some of these plugins can be found in the already installed configuration section of your client, and some are found in the plugin hub, which can be accessed by clicking this little plug up here. We're starting off with the bank plugin. If you open up settings for this plugin and select keyboard bank pin, instead of needing to individually click each number, you can now use your keyboard numbers to enter your pin. This makes getting into your bank a 1-second process instead of needing to individually click each number. Once you enable this plugin, I can promise you won't go back. While you're in the settings for the bank plugin, you can also enable the disable left-click bank inventory and left-click bank equipment. With this enabled, you can no longer accidentally bank everything in your inventory or the gear you're wearing. This is really useful for if you're PVMing or doing something where you really don't want to bank what you're wearing or what you have in your inventory. Make sure you have the Logout Timer plugin turned on and set your idle timeout to 25 minutes. This lets you stay logged on for 25 minutes instead of the usual 5 minutes, even if you're completely AFK. The World Hopper plugin lets you do something pretty neat. Instead of scrolling through the worlds list to find a specific world you want to hop to, you can just type in ::hop and then the number of the world you want to hop to. So if I want to hop to world 323, I would just type ::hop space 323, press enter, and you'll automatically quick hop to that world. Really useful for something like shooting star mining where you know what world the star is on, but don't feel like scrolling through the worlds list to find it. Something else useful for shooting stars or any other AFK activity is the idle Notifier plugin. When you enable this, anytime your character stops moving and gaining XP, you'll get a little Windows notification letting you know that you need to click again. That way you're not missing out on that sweet XP. RuneLite offers hundreds of plugins and features that make your experience significantly better. It's kind of cool that World Anvil does the exact same thing. Creating an entire universe is tricky, but World Anvil is here to help. With its set of world-building tools like interactive maps, novel-writing software, RPG campaign managers, and pre-made templates, everything you need to flesh out your D&D campaign or a story or book you're writing can be found here. And with my code getting you 51% off a subscription, now's the time to take advantage. Let's pretend you're a group of friends who wants to plan out a D&D campaign that takes place in RuneScape. Well, with World Anvil, you can make it as in-depth as possible. Make a map of Gielinor, manage your players just like they look in-game, play and write out stories that take you across Gielinor, and get ready to go on a new type of RuneScape adventure. For any game masters, players, writers, or just to anyone who finds this interesting, click the link below to try World Anvil for free, or use code SOUP for 51% off any year subscription. This is a really cool website and would highly suggest checking it out if you haven't already. Thanks to World Anvil for sponsoring today's video. The Menu Entry Swapper plugin is a must. This plugin lets you change what your left and shift click do to things in your inventory, equipment, and stores around the game. Want to change your left click option on a potion to use instead of drink? Well, that's possible with this plugin. Want to change your left click option to buy 50 from a store? Also possible with the Menu Entry Swapper. I use this pretty consistently for a lot of unusual money making methods, and it significantly speeds up a bunch of grinds. Some areas of the game don't appear on the world map when you open it up, areas like the Underground Pass or the Dayalt Essence Mine and Darkmire. Why? I don't know, but you can get around this a bit by enabling the Instance Map plugin. If you turn this on, then right-click on the map symbol, you can click Show Instance Map. While this map won't let you drag it around or zoom in, it at least gives you a general idea of what your surroundings look like, which can be pretty useful. I'm sure most of you know about the Ground Items plugin that highlights items on the ground, duh, but there might be a setting inside of this plugin that you don't have enabled that is really useful. If you click the setting Collapse Ground Item menu, anytime there's a stack of the same item on the ground on the same tile, instead of showing 10 times, for example, as a separate item, it will show as times 10. You can see here that I have a stack of 20 super combat potions on the ground, and instead of showing 20 different times, it just shows up as one stack of 20 potions. Very useful. I've played on fixed mode for almost 15 years, but recently found a resolution that's even better. Full screen fixed mode. By turning on the stretched mode plugin, changing my game size to 1530 by 1006 in the RuneLite Windows settings, and then finally enabling the GPU plugin and changing the UI scaling to nearest neighbor, I can play on a 1-to-1 fixed mode client of RuneScape that takes up my entire monitor. I've really enjoyed just being able to see things a lot easier and not having to strain my neck and eyes. Here you can see a comparison of what I used to play on and what I play on now, and it is a big difference, literally. While it may take a bit to get used to how far you need to move your mouse to click things, for me it was well worth the transition, as now I find the regular fixed mode just to be too small. You can also enable the fixed mode hide chat plugin, which gets rid of the chat box and fixed mode and gives you a larger game area to click on. Looks kind of weird, but could be useful. Ever wanted to hide other players or NPCs whilst doing a piece of content? Well, you can with the Entity Hider plugin. With this enabled, you can hide players, NPCs, prayers, pets, thralls, random events, 2D messages, and more. The Impling Saver plugin is perfect for when you're spam clicking implings trying to get a clue scroll, but you don't want to accidentally open any more implings once you get that clue. This plugin will stop you from opening any more implings once you get one. Never again will you waste money or implings. If your computer's running a bit slow or are just sick and tired of staring at particles of grass, you can enable the Low Detail plugin, which cleans up a lot of that random foliage, stones and sticks and other small objects from the floor. Doesn't necessarily look better, but it could help with FPS and is useful for having certain areas just be a single color. These days there's a bunch of dailies that you can do to make a little money or gain some XP. If you turn on the daily task indicator, it will remind you every time you log in that you have things like herb boxes, battle stabs, essence, runes, bowstrings, bone meal, dynamite, and ogre arrows waiting to be collected. I have all the elite diaries completed, and by collecting everything the daily task indicator plugin tells me to, I make about 250,000 GP in 5 minutes. It might not seem like a lot, but doing that daily for a year straight adds up to over 90 million GP. If you stay consistent with it, the profit will rack up. You still make money doing this even without the elite diaries done, but as usual, the higher level you are, the better. One of the absolute worst things about this game is the amount of spam bots that you can find at every world at the Grand Exchange. Bots that are there permanently and bots that hop around to different worlds all spamming about gold selling websites, scammers, service selling, etc. Luckily, the spam filter plugin does a pretty great job at blocking almost all of that out. I've just kept it on the default settings since installing, and I've probably seen about a 95% reduction in the amount of spam in my chat box. If any spam messages are still getting through the spam filter, you can always turn on the chat filter plugin as a second resort. Just add any words you don't want to see anymore in your chat into the filtered words section and change the filter type to remove message. That should do a pretty good job of cleaning everything up. When I started getting into some PVMing like Tombs of Amasket and Nex, one thing I would always forget to do is spawn my Thrall. Luckily, the Thrall Reminder plugin can help with that. Every time your Thrall runs out and you need to summon another, a nice little warning message will appear telling you your Thrall needs to be summoned. Never miss out on that bit of extra damage that could get you an MVP on a raid and get you something like, oh my god! If you ever find yourself up at Godwars dungeon and get annoyed at the little overlay that shows the 0 KC of the monsters you don't care about, you can hide them with the Better Godwars overlay. For example, if I'm at Nex and only want to see the ancient KC, I can hide the rest of them by clicking these checkboxes. It cleans up an already cluttered screen, especially if you're on fixed mode like I am. Don't forget that by holding Alt, you can left click drag a lot of the overlays to different spots on your client, which can also help with cleaning up your screen. If you quickly need to check what drops a monster can give you or are just curious about the rates of certain drops, you can use the Lookup plugin to quickly see every single drop a monster can give you. It shows the multiple drop tables of certain monsters depending on combat level. You can organize it as a list or grid, change it from a fraction to a percentage, and it even provides a wiki link to find out more information about the monster you're looking up. Another mega useful plugin to have is the Picture-in-Picture plugin. With this enabled, every time RuneLite isn't the main focus on your monitor or screen, it will appear as a little active window on the bottom right. With this enabled, you can full screen watch a YouTube video, movie, or TV show and still be able to see what's happening on your old school client. Especially useful when you're AFKing activities. There's a lot of customizability as well. Holding shift and dragging lets you move the window around your screen, choose which status bars you want to have showing, and even change the quality and redraw rate of the window. This is especially useful for people who play with one monitor or a laptop screen. If you've ever wanted to capture one of your RuneScape achievements in video form, you can install the Video Recorder plugin, which at a simple click of the Start button lets you record video of your gameplay. You're also able to customize things like the FPS and compression level depending on how good you want the video quality to be. Now keep in mind that using this plugin will take up more computer resources than using something like OBS does to record, but for those of you that just want to record some short gameplay clips without the need to download any other recording software, this plugin is really good. If you're looking to get into PVMing or just want a better understanding of where you actually are in game when moving around, the Tile Indicators plugin is a must-add. If you enable Highlight Destination Tile and Highlight True Tile settings, you'll see a tile appear under you and a tile appear when you click somewhere. Since server lag and ping are something everyone deals with, this plugin will tell you where you are actually standing compared to what you see. As you can see, when I click on this tile, my character starts moving towards it, but the true tile shows me farther ahead because that's where I actually am in game compared to what I see. You can also see that the destination tile disappears even though I'm not standing on it. Again, because that's actually where my character is in game even though though it doesn't show it. Having a general understanding of this will greatly help you at pieces of content that require lots of moving and attacking, mainly PvM and PvP. If you'd like, you can also turn on the Improved Tile Indicators plugin. Without this plugin, plugins like Tile Indicator and Ground Markers will clip through your character. The Improved Tile plugin will stop that from happening if you turn on the Draw Overlays Below Player setting on. The GPU plugin is the S-tier plugin for many reasons, and I could honestly make an entire video on it, but I'll just list a few settings for you that I think you should enable. Turning your draw distance up to 90 lets you see and click way farther. Bump the extended map loading setting up to 5 and you can see even farther. With GPU, without GPU. Major difference. They've also recently added a feature called Hide Unrelated Maps, which hides random instances and other parts of the map that shouldn't be in your view when at certain places. The Skybox plugin combines nicely with the GPU plugin by turning the RuneScape sky from a sad boring black to a cozy blue, or whatever color you'd prefer to use. The sky will even change colors to match the environment of certain areas of the game. Usually, if you want to find out your maximum damage hit with a normal attack or special attack, you'd have to go to the combat dummy in your house or input everything into a website online. The max hit calculator does all of that for you and places it as a nice and simple overlay on your screen. I don't keep this one on at all times, I just flick it on quickly if I ever want to check out how much my max hit is. If you ever want to know how much GP per hour you're actually making whilst doing a piece of content, you can enable the Profit Tracker plugin. This plugin will not only keep track of how much you make off the loot you receive, but it also keeps track of the supplies you used. You could be making 1 million GP an hour at a boss, but this plugin will put you in your place and tell you, nah. It was closer to 800k an hour based off the supplies you used. I really enjoy having the World Flags plugin turned on. This plugin shows you what country the server is located in of the world for people on your friends list, friends chat, and clan chat. If you hover over the hit points orb with the poison plugin turned on, you can see exactly how much the next poison hit is going to damage you for, how much time there is until the next poison hit, and how much time there is until the poison is naturally cured. The Tears of Guthix and Improved Tears of Guthix plugins add some useful information to your Tears of Guthix runs, like a countdown timer that shows you when the blue streams are running out, how many ticks until your time is up, and how many points you're successfully gaining. A lot of people forget to do their weekly tiers, but I'm here to tell you to not forget to do it, as it adds up to a lot of XP if done consistently. Monster menu HP is really useful for when you have a big stack of NPCs and are trying to figure out which ones are the ones with low HP and the ones with high HP when you right click on the stack. As you can see, the ones with low HP have more heavily grayed out names, and the ones with higher HP are the redder names. The amount of red in each name directly correlates to how much HP each monster has in the stack. The Decimal Prices plugin lets you type in decimals when you're buying something from the Grand Exchange. Usually, if you would want to buy an item for 1.5 mil, for example, you would have to type 1400k, but this plugin allows you to just simply type 1.4m or 1.4 mil, whatever you want to call it, instead, which is much easier to type and much easier to remember. If you're bored in-game and can't think of anything to do, the skills generator is a neat way to hopefully cure that boredom. Just enable the plugin, head to the sidebar, select what you think you would have interest in doing, and click Generate. The overlay on screen will generate a task for you to complete. This could be anything from PVMing to skilling to PKing, it's totally up to you. Completing a task gives you points as well, alongside some in-game progression, so it's a win-win. These next plugins are ones that just add some small quality of life or graphically enhance certain parts of the game. The Teleport Maps plugin changes the look of the Spirit Tree locations menu from this to this. Looks way cooler, is true to the old school graphic style, and is easy to click. The Fossil Island Mush Tree map turns from this to this. Also looks really cool as well. The Report Button plugin lets you change the text on your report button to be a multitude of things, like the current date, time, tick counter, and more. The closest you can zoom into your character is this, but with the Zoom Extender plugin, you can get way more close and personal. Really useful if you want to zoom into something that you're clicking on so it has a larger click box. The roofs in this game are an incredibly buggy mess. With just the slightest tilt of your camera or a certain character movement, it'll cause them to disappear, reappear, it's just very annoying. Enabling the Roof Removal plugin makes them a lot more stable. With this enabled, the roofs will never disappear, no matter how much I move my camera around. You can also enable some settings like Hover Tile, which removes the roof of the building that your mouse is hovering over, or the Between Camera and Player setting that gets rid of the roof if it's between yourself and your character. If you play in resizable mode, you can use the Hide Widgets plugin to hide every interface you have on your screen. Just press Ctrl H and boom, there's your new series idea. RuneScape, but I play without literally everything. everything. The large logout plugin is perfect for those of you who struggle to click on the normal size logout button or need a bit of a bigger one for an easier time hopping from a scary PKer. The door kicker plugin lets you open doors way more badass than anyone else, and the dance party plugin means you can have a party wherever you go. All of us can do a better job at staying hydrated, and the Hydrate Reminder can help with that. Depending on the interval you set, it will send you an in-game reminder to hydrate, quenching any thirst you might have, even though you'll still always be thirsty. I asked some of your favorite YouTubers what RuneLite plugins they can't live without, and here's what they had to say. Solo Mission said the menu entry swapper, and it's not even close. Framed is a massive fan of the Equipment Inspector plugin. This plugin lets you right-click any player and look up exactly what they're wearing. Perfect for when he goes PKing and wants to see how much somebody is risking. Settled can't live without the Music plugin, which gives you a bunch of custom volume sliders and can get rid of a bunch of jarring sounds like player and NPC area sounds. Without this plugin, your options for sound effects are loud, louder, and loudest, but if you enable granular volume sliders, you can move it to the exact volume that you want things to be. C Engineer can't live without two plugins, GPU and Player Indicator. We already talked about GPU, but we haven't talked about player indicators. With this enabled, any players on your screen or mini-map will have their name in red above them, or whatever color you choose. You can also highlight friends, friends chat, and clan chat members. Another useful plugin if you're in the wilderness and want an easy way to spot if somebody is close by. If you found some of these plugins useful or enjoyed this type of video, subscribing and leaving a like helps out immensely. Thanks in advance. If you have a plugin suggestion that you think that I or the other viewers should try out, let me know in the comments down below. It's kind of crazy how far RuneLite has come. I covered the client when it first came out over 5 years ago, and it looked way different and only had around 11,000 players using it. Nowadays, at peak time, over 200,000. It truly is the GOAT of RuneScape clients. If you have any questions or need help with the plugin, feel free to join my Discord and shoot me a message in there, and I'll do my best to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.